The East Abbotsford detached market is picking up. We're seeing months of inventory go down and sale activity remain consistent. In today's video, I'm going to do a live market update for the East Abbotsford Detached, the Auguston Detached, and the East Abbotsford Townhome market. Let's dive in. Let's start here. For the month of December, the East Abbotsford Detached market represented a seller's market with a sales to active ratio of 30.6%. In November, it was 24.2%. And in October, it was 16.1 in balanced territory. So if that's good news, as a homeowner here in East Abbotsford, you know that market activity is picking up and has been consistent for the last 2 months. Next, let's look at months of inventory. The months of inventory here in East Abbotsford for detached homes is around 3 months. That means 1 out of 3 homes are selling and 2 out of 3 are not selling. This is down from the 5 months that we saw in November, also down from the 6 months of inventory that we saw in October. One thing to keep in mind, folks, is a lot of home sellers, when they've had their home listed, will take their home off the market during December because we're getting closer to the holiday market, and the rationale is that, hey, we'll relist again in the springtime. Next, let's look at the average sale price. The average sale price for an East Abbey detached home is around $1,229,000. That's up from the average sale price here in November and in October as well. One thing that I want to go back to and show you guys is if you look at 2025, we've seen the East Abbotsford market kind of be reactive and all over the place. And historically, the East Abbotsford detached market is in a seller's market majority of your time. So in January, it was again in balanced territory. In February, 18% balanced market. In March, we saw market activity pick up. Then things dropped again in April. Activity picked up in May, where the market entered a seller's market. And over the summer months, it kind of remained constant. Went again in September, and we saw things picking up here, really entering November and December. Next, let's look at sales activity. We saw 26 sales here in December, and that was down from the 32 that we saw in November. There was 20 new listings in December, and that was down from the 38 here in November. Days on market is 23. Next, let's go to the Auguston detached market. In December, the Auguston Abbotsford detached market represented a balanced market with a sales to active ratio of 14.3%. Months of inventory again is around 3. This number is an outlier. Historically, the average sale price for homes in this area has been around $1,167,000. Days on market is 90. Again, I think this is an outlier number because there wasn't enough data based on the lack of sales for the month of December, and active listings for that area sits at 7. Next, let's look at the general Abbotsford detached market. The general Abbotsford detached market is representing a high balanced market at 19.3%. This was up from the 15% we saw in November, and again up from what we saw in October. Months of inventory was around 5. That means 1 out of 5 homes are selling and 4 out of 5 are not selling. Let's look at the average sale price. The average sale price for an Abbotsford detached home was around $1,236,000. We saw 52 sales in December, and that was down from the 57 that we saw in November. Days on market is 28. At the recording of this video, there are 270 active listings. Next, let's move on to the East Abbotsford townhome market. The East Abbotsford townhome market represented a high seller's market at 25.8%. This was up from the 22.5% we saw in October. Months of inventory is at 3. Historically, the East Abbotsford townhome market inventory is historically been low. So as a homeowner, that's good news. The average sale price for a townhome in this area is around $670,000. That's down from what we saw here in October. There were 0 sales in November, and we saw 8 sales in December. I had a buyer that also ended up getting a really good deal on a townhome here in Auguston. Right now, the active number of listings for townhomes here in East Abbotsford is 31. Days on market is 11. So one thing that I can tell you from the front lines, folks, is if you are a townhome owner here in East Abbotsford, the typical profile of a buyer that's looking to buy your home is young home buyers that already live in Abbotsford, or those folks that are relocating from Surrey or Langley. And one of the top areas that's on their bucket list is East Abbotsford. As a homeowner, are you thinking about listing your home this spring? One of the best things that you can do is start your preparation early. That's why you need to watch my next video, because I'm going to walk you through a checklist of things to do before you list your home so you don't leave thousands of dollars on the table. If you found today's content valuable, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe button. I'm Gary Dhindsa, and I'll see you next week.